Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. It's official, Deontay Wilder, coming off 2 consecutive losses to Tyson Fury, has been confirmed to return to the ring after almost a year out. He will be facing Robert Helenius. This will be October the 15th. It will be a pay-per-view event on Fox. So obviously this had been signalled by his manager Shelley Finkel as coming, although the other co-manager JD's had cast some doubt about whether this was happening. But Deontay Wilder returning. So I always thought that this was likely that he wasn't going to retire because his ego couldn't handle it. He thinks he is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. He was never going to end his career on 2 consecutive losses, and not just close losses. He was beaten up in the second and third fights, knocked out brutally at the end of that trilogy fight. So I did foresee him coming back, and Helenius, I actually think this is a decent opponent, considering the 2 losses in a row. I think Helenius is a top 20 fighter. He's coming off 2 of the best wins of his career. I don't mind the fight. Obviously, the pay-per-view nature of it, but we have to get real at this stage. Anything that Deontay Wilder does, any fights that he's in, is going to be on pay-per-view. He's got certain expectations. And as well, PBC will want to be, after building him up for years now, will want to be cashing in on him and making money off him. So Wilder to be on pay-per-view and whatever he does going forward. And I think this is actually a decent level opponent to return given the 2 losses. So I don't mind it from that perspective. It's an eliminator for the WBC, whatever that means. Wilder currently the top of the WBC rankings. In terms of the quotes here, so we'll just skip down here. So you've also got Caleb Plant and Andre Dirrell also on this card. But Deontay Wilder, where's his quotes? He says, "It's been a long journey for me, as of today, it continues. I thought so many times about whether I should stay out of the business or come back. Once I got my statue in my hometown and saw so many people arrive and celebrate with me and my family, to see all the emotions, grown men crying in front of their children and saying, 'He is a real, true king.'" Who was doing that? Did that actually happen? Made me feel like my job is not done. So here I am once again, looking forward to returning to the ring. I'm looking forward to coming to Barclays Centre, a place where I've had my most devastating knockouts and a place I consider my second home. So where all my Bomb Squad people at, it's time to put on your war gear and let's go back to work, baby. Bomb Squad is back. So the statue unveiling, and this is a little clip on screen of that. I didn't see people crying in the background, but I wasn't there, but that's embarrassing. Moving on to Robert Helenius, he says, "It's great to be back at Barclays Centre in an even bigger fight than my last one. I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time, and I'm going to be ready. I'm going to produce an even bigger upset than I did with Kownacki. I'm going for the belt. So this is a fight to prepare me to achieve that goal. I can only become the best heavyweight in the world by beating the best, and that's what I intend to do on October 15. So I won't go through the Caleb Plant, Andre Dirrell quotes. That is what it is in terms of a super middleweight fight. I think Dirrell is washed at this point. But Helenius there talking about going for this title eliminator, going for the belt. There had been, even as of a couple of days ago, people mounting arguments that Helenius wouldn't be taking this fight for a few reasons, chief among them that the WBA, he could go for that belt instead. And I've been saying on this topic, look, Robert Helenius was never announced as the WBA mandatory. If he was, he would have just waited. But he was, as of a few weeks ago, threatening court action to try get the WBA mandatory spot. But you have to consider that would have taken up probably significant time and resources, money, effort, all that sort of stuff. And there was no guarantees he would have ever got that mandatory slot. So this was the biggest fight that was in front of him, probably for a career high payday. And let's face it, if he beats Deontay Wilder, then he will be going into something huge. Maybe it would be a rematch with Wilder, or perhaps Wilder would retire if he was beaten. But Helenius, he's, I think this is, at this stage of his career, it's a good fight to take. There was no guarantees with the other stuff. He's 38 years old. Could he have waited a year or two for some resolution? It's the WBA after all. It's like this weird vortex that, you know, you blame yourself for if you ever try going down that route. So this is a guaranteed fight with good money and obviously can take him to much bigger and better places should he get a win. So I can understand why he's taken it and left the WBA option aside. Maybe he will also, because this is just an eliminator, pursue that other avenue to see what's going to happen. But obviously this fight is his next one. And I think this, for him, given he's 38, he's sort of had a bit of an indie in some of the past couple of years, career best performances against Adam Kownacki. He's been healthy, no hand issues, he's been confident, and that's shown in the ring. Remembering just a few years ago, stopped by Gerald Washington, he's been beset by injuries in his career. It kind of feels like at the moment things are clicking for him, and he is a legitimate top 20 heavyweight, and I think he's an appropriate opponent for Wilder at this stage. I mean, people may not love that it's on pay-per-view, but I think Helenius, who is known to Wilder, they've sparred together. Helenius was in one of Wilder's most recent camps giving him some work. Here's a photo. I don't mind it at all. And for Wilder, he needs a win. He needs to get confidence. And Robert Helenius, he can be hurt. He can be stopped. We've seen that before in his career. I just mentioned Gerald Washington stopping him a couple of years ago. Stopped previously as well. But Wilder, what's he got left? And that's a question. Deontay Wilder's had a couple of beatings put on him in a row. What's that taken from him? Plus as well, he's not a spring chicken. What is he, 36, 37 years old now? He is towards the tail end of his career, and given all the injuries that he's had, he could be one of these fighters that that gets old pretty quickly in the ring, given the punishment that his body has taken. So this is a heat check for Deontay Wilder, and I'm sure that PBC want to see him go in there and look devastating because they've got plans for him. And I think that those plans could include a potential fight between him and Andy Ruiz Jr. in 2023, an in-house fight, the biggest one they can make with the two biggest heavyweight names that they have. So that looks like the glide path for Deontay Wilder should he win. But obviously there could be other fights out there at some point, maybe Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, other big names potentially too. Who knows what's happening with Tyson Fury, although I don't think we need to see a fourth fight. I would hope we don't at this point, given the exclamation point that Fury's put on the last two. Wilder is always a threat in the ring with that power, so we will have to see where he's at, what he's got left, and if he gets a devastating knockout that is going to encourage boxing fans that he can still make a run at something, whatever that something is, if it's another big fight with Ruiz or something like that. But what do you make of this fight? Helenius, Wilder, October 15. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.